Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario 30,000, or 2011, that's it. Thank you for getting to this 30,000 subscriber question and answer. So for anyone that doesn't know, recently I hit 30,000 subscribers on March 28th, 2016. Thank you all very much for that. If this doesn't seem like a sincere enough thank you, I made an entire video about it over a week ago. And in that video and in the comments of that video, I said, let's do a Q&A. So what I did was for 1 week after that video was uploaded, I decided to open it up for question and answer. Essentially, you could ask a question down below in the comment section on that video, or you could message me on YouTube, and then I would take comments and, well, questions and answer them and everything like that. So I'm just saying, I didn't answer all of them. I'm sure there's some others that are going to be submitted and all that. Those aren't going to get hit, just cut off is there. So yeah, I decided to do a week. I put out some notices on like Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. So any questions here have been asked specifically for the Q&A. If you want to ask a Q&A question, wait for the next one. Sorry, can't really give anything else on there, but next milestone, we'll see what we do on there. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So for this, as you guys have probably noticed here, this is going to be a really casual format, okay? I'm probably going to keep editing minimal on this. That means I've been keeping my coughs to a minimum when I've been editing my videos, but after having bronchitis like a month ago, I still have this light cough going on, so if you see me kind of like dabbing and coughing and all that, yeah, that's what happened. So for anyone that's never had it, bronchitis, like the after effects of it, just stay there for like 6 or 8 weeks. It sucks. Like that's the only thing. I mean, my cough is getting better, but it's like sometimes my voice might like cut out and I'll like cough or like something like that. That one I kind of forced on, but still, just kind of demonstrated. So anyways, what I did was I took all the questions. Some were asked in comments, some were asked personally to me, and what I do for that, now I've done this in previous Q&As and all that, I don't mention people's names, usernames, anything like that. One, for security, if some people, you know, as I said, some people ended up personally messaging me, so that's understandable, but also the other thing could be promotion and all that stuff. Some people might want to use it as a stepping stone for promotion. I'm like, nah, let's not do that. If you're upset by it, sorry. Can't do much about that. But anyways, let's go ahead and start with the first question. So we got a good amount, and at one point I am going to have to probably cut the footage here because I'm going to be talking quite a bit about stuff. I'm normally pretty long-winded. But the first one right here, how did I hang up my wall scrolls? This is funny because actually I made a video about this. Before anyone looks for it, it's not out yet at the time of this video. It's actually the first tutorial I ever recorded in this apartment. I recorded it back in January, have it edited, I think I even have a thumbnail, and it's good to go. I just haven't uploaded it, and that's the thing, I have like 10 videos that I haven't uploaded yet that are pretty much good to go. And so somebody's asking me how I hung them. I'll get the thing real quick. It's actually these things right here. Now there's none in them, but giving you a bit of a spoiler before the video comes out. These little Command 1 brand picture and frame hanging double-sided Velcro things. Essentially one side is Velcro, the other side is sticky stuff, and you could put one sticky thing on the end of one of the wall scrolls and the other one goes on your wall. So I'll even show you. Even if you see right here, normally what happens with these wall scrolls, right? You have to like hang them in some way. You see this looks like it's just sticking on the wall. I did that on purpose, so that's what I liked about that. And I've done that with every scroll and every single poster in my apartment. So I use these things right here. They're a little bit expensive, but trust me, they're totally worth it. If you want to wait and see how it's done, tutorial will come out with that. Now I'm going to actually push it sooner because someone asked. So now it's kind of great because if anybody complains and says, oh, Mario, this has nothing to do with any of your other content, who the hell wanted this video? The first person that asked me a question wanted this video. Or maybe not, but they wanted to know at least. So let's go on to the next one. How many consoles have you fucked up doing a mod? Broken the traces, points, etc.? Oh my god, let me see. I haven't done that many, to my credit. I really haven't. But let's see, I fucked up my first PS1. Fucked that up. There was another PS1 that I screwed up when I was taking the metal shielding off. You're kind of noticing a pattern here. So the PS1 I have horrible luck with. I think even the third system, technically the third console itself, was another PS1 where one of the resistors came off there. And it's so weird because I've done so many more advanced hardware exploits and modifications and all that, and it's the PS1, that's the one I have the highest failure rate with for some reason. I've killed 3 of those things. So let's see, one of them the resistor came off, the other one resistors came off, the third one resistors came off, so that happened in each one of them. Actually the second one might have been a cut trace, I don't know. The only other thing, it's kind of like a console and like half a console, because it wasn't really the console, it was more the... No, there was one console. Okay, there's gonna be 4 here. One of them, between PS1 number 2 and PS1 number 3, I actually fucked up my first Xbox 360. I was so mad about that because I paid so much money for it, but I was actually doing a video. So like I sacrificed it on video, and I've only told this story like once years ago, and I'm not gonna tell you where I told it on here, so that'll be a little bit of a scavenger hunt, or I wanna see, you know, how well people know the channel. But essentially, I had made a video, or I was trying to make a video of showing how to completely tear down and take apart the Xbox 360 and clean it and all that. And it was like 1 in the morning when I was doing it, and I didn't have the proper tools, and I flexed the motherboard about 20 times. Yeah, I've tried to repair that thing like 10 times. It's dead. It's foobarred. And it shouldn't matter because I have like a closet full of 360s behind me. It's not completely full of only 360s, but there's still quite a few in there. But it's like, that's the one. It wasn't even that good of a motherboard. It was a Zephyr. But that's the one I'm so mad about because it was in perfect working order, and I know I killed it. So that one I was pretty sour about. The other one was a disk drive that I had gotten. There was actually a 360 Hitachi drive that I had bricked, and essentially it wasn't even that big of a deal because I bought off eBay. I think the thing was like butchered and swapped and all that, and then like the laser wasn't even working on there, and there was some other issues, and it was like spoofed to something else. So the thing was broken to begin with essentially, and I ended up returning it to the eBayer and all that and got my money back. But before that, I tried something with the firmware, and I ended up bricking the drive, and I just didn't look into repairing it. I mean, I've bricked other drives on purpose, like for the channel, and I've unbricked them, but like when I'm assuming when this person says, you know, what have I fucked up, it's like just foobarred it. So yeah, no, 3 PS1s, possibly a 360 disk drive, and a 360. So out of all the systems, I think that's pretty good, honestly, for all the systems I've touched, but still kind of has me salty a bit, mostly with the 360 and kind of the childhood PS1. But then again, I didn't really know how to solder at that point. Number 3, what was your first console and what is your favorite? First console was the original Xbox. Yeah, I started kind of late in this, due to the fact that, thinking about it, I was 8 years old when I got the Xbox, so not that big of a deal. I got on launch too, or close to launch, which was nice, but it doesn't seem late now. 8 years old doesn't seem that bad, but at the time it was pretty bad, especially when like my friends had been playing like Nintendo and Super Nintendo and even N64 since they were like 4, 5, 6 years old. So it was cool because at the time I got this Xbox and it was a brand new system. The games kind of sucked on it, not gonna lie, because it was a brand new system. And I didn't really know how to play anything because all I'd really played was like jumpstart games and like educational games on the PC prior to then. And for some reason, my parents had this thought where they think video games were like consoles. Like, this thing right here, this plays video games. The computer does not play video games, even though you can get computer games. So they saw a difference between video games and computer games, and they had no issue like getting me computer games, but video games they thought would rot my brain. I think for the most part I'm okay on that, so makes no sense, parent logic. But my favorite console, I don't even know if you'd count this as a console directly. I count a console as almost like anything not PC, but the PSP is definitely my favorite in terms of library, revisions, support they had on it, and homebrewing and modding capabilities. I mean, it gets like, it gets passes in all of those for me, man. Let me see what else is here. Number 4, what will your future videos look like? Any plans? I don't really have plans, to be honest. There is one video. There's one series I'm thinking of continuing on. Not gonna reveal anything about it. And it's actually been big enough where I've been writing scripts for it. Now, normally I don't do scripts. I do things kind of off the cuff, but the few things I do scripts with are reviews, which honestly, if I didn't do scripts, they might almost be better in a way, because I've noticed, it's weird, a script is supposed to put down your thoughts in a coherent manner and everything, and I noticed that when I do a review with no script versus when I do review with a script, the review with a script is actually longer. So I don't know, maybe it's because I'm able to put my thoughts down all at once and I have a lot to think about, but this is more of an informative series, so I've actually been scripting it out, like, generally. Air quotes, I know, but like kind of doing a general script on it due to the fact that there's a lot of information there and it's an informative piece and I can't really just be going off the top of my head. There's been other series I've done on that, but with this I kind of want it to, I want to make sure all the facts are completely there and I can back them up and everything. But any plans, aside from honestly maybe like eventually replacing this camera right here. I use a DSLR, this camera's awesome. Absolutely love it, but there's also some things that I wish I could improve upon it as well too, and one of those would be 1080p 60 frames. This thing caps out at 1080p 30, which I think is still good. Like, I'm not saying there's anything bad about it, but I could have a DSLR camera that can do 1080p 60. And the idea might be eventually, whenever I feel like it, I'll buy a new DSLR camera, give this one to my family, but we'll see what's up on that. Aside from that, no. Like, I normally don't really reveal my plans, and it's kind of just a go with the flow type thing. So what I can recommend is stay subscribed, stick around on the channel, and you'll see what future plans are and what all changes entail with everything. But hopefully it'll be good stuff. I'm hoping so. Here's a technical question right here. Why are BIOS files illegal? Now, this was in relation to a PlayStation 1 emulator question. And this emulator in question was being redistributed with the BIOS, which is kind of a no-no. Back when I first started using emulators, you could get the emulator, like the emulator is its own code, that's fine. Then you had to get the copyrighted code elsewhere. And that's essentially where it comes from. The BIOS is copyrighted code that for this instance would belong to Nintendo for a Nintendo console, Sony for a Sony console, Microsoft for an Xbox related console, anything like that, while as the emulator itself is most likely completely homebrewed, home-written code. So the emulator itself you can distribute with mostly no issues. You get into trouble when you start redistributing the BIOS. Now some people are going to say there's websites where you could easily download BIOS. Yeah, well, there's also websites where you could easily download, like, child porn and all these other, like, crazy terrorist plans and all that stuff. Does that mean they're legal? Absolutely not. And it's kind of disturbing at the same time, but it's just kind of one of those things. That's why you're going to see some sites where they will tell you, you need this file, we can't link it to you, but they'll link you to everything else. It's a copyrighted file, essentially. Let's see, what else? Do you think there will be an hack for the Xbox One or PS4? If so, do you know if we will reach that point really soon? Well, with the PS4, there's already been a hack for it. That is the 1.76, like it's all on the 1.76 firmware, the WebKit exploit and everything, and you could run Linux on there. So technically we've already hacked up the PS4 and we've reached that point. The same with the Wii U as well. Although this is outside the scope of this question, the Wii U has also been hacked up. Just throwing that out there. The Xbox One, though, we don't know of anything public yet. Excuse me. There's been a few things I've seen. There's something on, like, it's weird because it always comes from these, like, completely foreign sites, like, not English-speaking sites at all, but this one website in particular, there's apparently a forum user where you have to send him your Xbox One, and he's able to do something where he's able to put games on there and all that, and apparently it works, or it worked for quite a while. Kind of similar to the PS4 exploit that was kind of the same thing, except that got patched by Sony pretty early on, and from what I know, it was a thing, but it got killed off pretty quickly because it wasn't really designed for longevity or for homebrew purposes. It was designed to make a few bootleg shops money so that they could sell pirated games or relicense games. It was essentially some weird way of relicensing the games, and you would pay like $5 per game and you'd get them licensed on your system. From what I saw, the Xbox One might have something like that. It's not game sharing or anything like that. It's something similar to what the PS4 exploit was, but it's pretty under wraps. That is the only thing I've seen. I've seen that, and I've seen NAND dumps, and that's about it, unfortunately. So the Xbox One, I think we'll see stuff within the next 2 years. It'd be cool if we see that. PS4 definitely happened a lot sooner than I thought it would, but nice to see that we got that. You know, less than 3 years into the system's life cycle, we now have a full-blown exploit. We don't have custom firmware yet, but we have homebrew, we have kernel access, we have all that stuff, which is pretty neat. Are you going to RTX 2016? Well, I'll tell you, I had to look that up. So, probably not. But it's the Rooster Teeth Expo, and with that, I mean, Rooster Teeth is cool. I followed the early seasons of Red vs. Blue, but no, probably not going. Now, if they invite me out there or something and pay for my ticket, I'll be like, oh, sure, I'll definitely go. But, like, right now, it's just kind of one of those things I looked at, I'm like, not really super interested in it, honestly. There's been a few retro gaming expos. I don't know, it might be cool if some friends and I, like, took a road trip out there or anything like that. E3, it'd definitely be awesome to go to that, but I have to register or know people. I have to do either one of those two things. And even registration is everywhere. It's really weird for E3. So it more helps if you know people who've gotten into E3 or if you have connections there. The only other thing I could think of is specifically PAX East. Because one of my buddies up in Canada, on the east coast of Canada, what's up, Tanner? He actually has expressed some interest in going to PAX East before. And really the hardest thing about going there would be getting tickets because they sell out like that. Takes a few seconds. So I even told him kind of one of those things where if we ever go, I was like, dude, if you ever want to go, I can fly up there, you fly down there, we'll figure that out. The hardest thing is going to be getting the tickets. So, like, if you're ever serious about it, I'll try and get tickets. But that's a kind of a pipe dream, so we'll see. That's the only expo I've seen where I'm kind of interested in. Excuse me. Are you going to do any car audio stuff in the future? This was asked, I'm pretty sure, because like on social media and all that, I've shown that in my car I have two 12-inch Rockford Fosgate P2 subwoofers. I have a monoblock amp for them. I've replaced speakers and the deck in my car. I was into car audio, and I have an appreciation for it, I do, and I still like it. I mean, if I didn't like it, I would have taken out the subwoofers permanently, but never did. But the thing is, it was kind of one of those things where, one, it's really expensive, two, I also don't feel as comfortable with it, admittedly, because you're working with a car, not so much a computer. Like, honestly, here's the thing, right? Let's say I break my Xbox One. That's like $300-400 out, okay? I mean, it sucks, but whatever. You break a car, that's a few $1,000s out. That's why I'm a lot more nervous with that stuff. But there's people that absolutely love it. And my friends that absolutely love cars most of the time don't know too much about computer stuff, and then it's kind of vice versa for me. So what happens is they end up doing stuff to my car, and I do stuff to their computers and game systems, and it works out pretty well. We kind of exchange. But no, when it comes to that, probably not. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's just my interest isn't really there. I was always fascinated with it, thought it was awesome, absolutely loved car audio, subwoofers, was obsessed with it for a bit. Then I got my own stuff installed, and after that, like as I said, it went from an obsession to an appreciation. I definitely appreciate what I have, but like, I don't know, man. Like, for example, I mean, I guess people can ask me why the hell I have like 20 variants of systems, but I also ask people to this. It's like, there's car audio people. I'm like, why do you get new subwoofers every month? Because I've had subwoofers, the same subwoofers in my car for almost 5 years, not had any issues with them, haven't had to replace them, haven't wanted to replace them. So, yeah, that's kind of the whole car audio thing. I did do car audio for a bit on this channel, though, but nothing really worthwhile, to be honest. What are your thoughts? God, man, oh my God, I hate being sick. I'm not sick anymore, at least, but it's, oh my God, it's so annoying. Hate it. What are your thoughts on next-gen modding? Wii U is definitely getting there. The best firmware right now is 5.3.2 to be on, because with that you can actually use, you know, like the kernel exploits and all that stuff, but even then it's not as nice as we would like it to be. Like, when people think of Wii U exploits, they think of the Wii, where you could just like literally pop in an SD card and exploit everything on there and have it all super nice. We're not at that point yet on the Wii U. We're not at all. Nowhere close yet. Give it a year, we'll see. And also we have new people on it, like Smealum. What he did, he started messing with the Wii U, and a month in, he ended up getting like full kernel access and was able to reboot the system into a custom NAND. So that kind of proves not only we need more people, we need the right people. And Smealum is one of those right people, but I mean, he's also busy as all hell too, so it's not his job or responsibility to do that. But yeah, no, the Wii U, it's interesting to see where it is. I'll probably tackle it at one point later on. And I feel like with NX kind of on the horizon here, I feel like whenever that is out, and especially even when it's announced, we're going to see some more stuff on the Wii U, just because they'll be cheaper to pick up. And it's kind of one of those things with morals of a lot of modders, not all of them, but a lot of them, they don't really want to hurt the system when it's struggling. They don't want to kick it while it's down. We saw that with the Dreamcast, it sucked. So with the Wii U, it hasn't, no secret, it hasn't been doing that well. A lot of people have hacked it up completely, but they're kind of keeping their stuff a bit under wraps, or they're waiting for development on it to further expand, just because they still want the system to succeed. But it's kind of given at this point, Nintendo's kind of just going to move it off to the side. And I feel like when we do that, we're going to see more development on there. The PS4, I think that's neat as well too. I think we need to see a newer exploit on some type of newer firmware, or if we get downgrades going, that would be awesome. And if this PS4.5 happens, it'll be neat to see what happens with that. But the other thing, the Xbox One, I don't really know what's going to happen with that, especially since the Xbox One, honestly, is such a piss-poor system if you have it offline. Like, if you don't have an internet connection, don't get an Xbox One. Like, it's so, I understand you can play it offline now and everything, but even so, it's like, there's so many aspects of it that are so reliant on having an online account and everything. And even with that, like, one thing that pisses me off on the Xbox One, you can't even have an offline account. You can't. You have to sign into an email and use that as your account. On the PS4, Xbox One, no, PS4, Wii U, you can do that. Xbox One, no, has to be tied up, drop my phone, has to be tied up into the cloud. So, it would be impressive to see if they could do anything on there. More maybe gear it towards the 360. That's kind of a pipe dream. But I would like a system that I could actually feel decent playing offline if I have to. The closest thing I have right now is signing into Xbox Live and just appearing offline. And let's see, got my phone again. So next question right here is going to be, what is your favorite platform for modding, and what is your favorite homebrew application for that platform? Definitely PSP. So, easy enough question right there, my favorite platform for modding. That taught me a lot. When it comes to my favorite application, oh my god, I generally have to say, I might cheat here, and I generally have to say I just love the aspect of custom firmware, because you guys have to realize that was all new back then. Originally, 1.5 was like the safe haven for homebrew. The biggest thing at that point was whatever PSP like firmware comes out, we need to make a downgrader for it. Downgrade to 1.5, that's it. Then this guy Dark Alex comes out and he releases 1.5 POC, aka proof of concept, and it added in a very limited recovery menu. This was big because at the time, if you ever bricked your PSP, it was done unless you could send it off to Sony, which most of the time you couldn't do, but sometimes you could. It depended on what happened. But no, then it just grew and grew, and now it's like, my god, I see what happened with the PSP. It's like before, you had to turn on the PSP, you had to hold down the right bumper and all that, and it would boot up into the recovery menu, and from there, you could load up a recovery file off your memory stick and all that. And while that was all well and good, you had registry hacks and all that stuff that were neat, now it's to the point where you could literally get a PSP, load up a few megabytes of files onto it, and within 1 minute, you have a fully exploited system. And even for a while, the struggle was, on some systems you had permanent patches, and other ones you had temporary custom firmware patches. And now with one of the, I don't know what it's called, but with one of the new exploits that came out in the past few months, now every single PSP can have the latest firmware on a permanent exploit. But the biggest thing with that is, you can now bring up a VSH menu, which you could still do before. Like, I was there when that was new, man. And by that I mean, like, when you're on the home menu and you press the home button, and you bring up, like, a little sub-menu in that. Like, I was there when that was fresh and new. Now you can do that, and you can access recovery mode from that, and get, like, and access everything on your system just from the home screen. It's absolutely insane to see that. So overall, I have to say, custom firmware itself would just have to be my favorite application. If I had to pick an actual application, PSP Filer. I always loved that app. Like, it was powerful. It worked out well. It did what I needed to do. Yeah. But custom firmware overall, might cheat saying that, but bleh. Alright, next up here. How do you learn to edit videos and how do you make your thumbnails? Well, kind of one of those things, to run you need to learn how to walk, unless you're one of those rare exceptions. I learned how to I learned how to edit videos by making videos, which was essentially me when I was a kid stealing my parents' camcorder and filming random stuff and doing just random things with it. Eventually, I learned how to edit thanks to a little program called Windows Movie Maker, which, of all people, the janitor at my elementary school told me about, because even though he was a janitor, he knew a lot about computers, and him and I got along pretty well, and that worked out well enough, because I was able to get away with a few things, because, you know, pull a few strings and all that. But, not the point here. What happened was he told me about Windows Movie Maker, so I started making like Kingdom Hearts music videos and all that stuff, and I was just making a ton of music videos, like all the time. Didn't really have anywhere to upload them, but I was just making a ton of those. And then later on, right now I use Adobe Premiere not CS6, but whatever the latest version of the Creative Cloud suite is. So Adobe Premiere Creative Cloud, that's what I use. I learned how to use that specifically from my video productions class. What had happened was, as I said, I used Windows Movie Maker, I'd use like Pinnacle Studio, something like that, and then I went on to Premiere, and I'm so happy I learned how to use Premiere, and Premiere was essentially, hey, you've been using Windows Movie Maker all these years, right? Here's an actual, like that's like the kiddie version of video editing. Here's an actual video editor that we use in Hollywood and all that stuff. So it has, you know, green screen, it has so many other things, it links into all the other Adobe stuff. It's excellent. I absolutely love it. So that's how I learned. But then when it comes to thumbnails, Photoshop. Easy answer. I also use the latest version of whatever the Creative Cloud version is of Photoshop. I think the next one, no, it wasn't related to that, but okay, this is kind of a serious one. It is a serious one. What kept you motivated to upload to the channel even during job hunting and being depressed? Short answer, because it kept me sane. Long answer, maybe a long-winded answer here. So for anyone that doesn't know, because I did like a channel update video about this. This was at the end of this past summer. And then my final semester in college, I wasn't in a good place. Essentially what happened was I had done an internship, and it confused me more than anything, and I think it was a real blessing in disguise I didn't go back to that place. But in short, it was August of 2015, I was graduating in December, and I had to get a job. I didn't have one lined up for me. In addition to that, I don't want to talk about it, but there's some other personal things that happened around that time that just brought me down completely. And the biggest thing with depression, if anyone's battled it, experienced it, anything like that, is do something. Just, for fuck's sake, do something. Go outside, throw rocks into a lake or something, walk around, ride your bike, work out. Working out is actually a really good idea because it has been shown, like it's an actual thing where when you're depressed, there's a type of chemical that secretes from your brain, and your brain gets addicted to that chemical. And in order to get off of that, you have to break the cycle. And part of that is doing something completely different. Or just keeping your mind occupied. Just don't focus in on that. Don't think on that. But exercise really does help with it. And even then, I wasn't even exercising that much because I was so busy. Because I was a full-time student, and I was working, and I was doing this, and I was job hunting, and oh my god, like, the job hunting was so bad, because, man, I'm pretty good with interviews. I am, and I still am, I believe. But for some reason, like, nobody was latching on to me. I was either getting no replies from companies, or they were saying, we're sorry, we found someone else, or I had to wait for interviews. And you can't decline an interview, because if you decline an interview, that's a potential job lost, you know? But the interview for the place that I am working at now, it happened at the right time. Definitely the right position I wanted. Everything was laid into place. And I can say this, I was in a really bad spot for about 2.5, 3 months. But then at the end, the same day I got my job offer, within about 6 hours, everything did a 180. Like everything, I'm telling you. So yeah, it's just kind of seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. And it's like school, for example. Like, this has been a big thing, and I know a lot of people who watch the channel are younger than me. So a lot of people are probably in university or in school or whatever it is, and they just want to see that light at the end of the tunnel. They're like, oh my god, I'm graduating 10th grade, I gotta go to 11th, then I gotta go to 12th, then I gotta go to college, I don't want to do this anymore. Yo, dude, stick to it. I'm telling you, stick to it. I did. I'm really happy I did. Because also now it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I talked with my younger brothers about it, and they see me chilling and all that stuff, and they're all jealous, and I'm like, you wanna know how I got here? I worked my fucking ass off in school and doing all this other stuff to get here. So if you want to have a life like mine, you should finish out your studies and maybe get a degree while you're at it as well too. And then they're like, oh, okay, but it's a lot of people want it now. They don't really want to work for it. And I was one of those people too, but it was kind of one of those things, man, it just like, you know, you do 1 year, like for example, with university, you do 1 year, you're like, well, I got like 3 more years. Then you're 3 years in and you're burned out, you're like, well, I got like a year left. And then like, man, if you have 1 semester left and you drop out, it better be for a good reason. Like not just, oh, I was burned out or I was lazy. So, that. But honestly, kind of coming back to the whole motivation type thing, it was a lot of things. It was something to keep me occupied. It was something that kind of kept me going through it all because I knew YouTube was going to be there. Most of the time it was going to be there. And also, you know, subscribers as well too. You know, when I got good comments, it made me feel good. If I got bad comments, I was like, block. That's it. So, yeah. Moral of the story, if you're depressed, do something. Just, you don't even have to do anything about it, because sometimes that can make it work. Just do something. And keep your mind off of that negative space. And hopefully you'll be better. But also, seek counseling if you have to. Seriously, that can really help out. Really can. What else is there? Let's see. What are your opinions on the rumors of the PlayStation 4.5 and the Xbox One being upgradable? Well, I'll tackle the Xbox One first, because first off, the Xbox One, it was debunked by Phil Spencer that they are not going to be doing a Xbox 1.5 or a newer version of the Xbox One that's going to be more powerful or anything. So that's kind of null and void now. But my thoughts on it, if he never addressed that, would have been, that is completely fucking stupid, especially after they touted for years the power of the cloud, which we still have yet to see. But I was thinking, like, if this console is based around the power of the cloud, why does it need a physical upgrade? Unless Microsoft lied to us. But the PlayStation 4.5, honestly, I can see that happening. I think it will be a thing. Now, the PlayStation 4 is, I'm looking at it right now, it's quite a small system for what it is. So I don't know how much more slim they can get, especially since that thing sounds like a friggin' battle tank going through when you really get it heated up and everything. But I don't know if they could do a slim one. And even historically, Sony has done, you know, the PS1, 2, 3 Slim, and they did do the PSP Slim. And the PSP, to my knowledge, is the only system they ever released where they dramatically changed up the hardware, where it was essentially the same, but it was kind of like a PSP 1.5. Essentially going from the PSP 1000 to the 2000, they ended up making better screens, of course, they slimmed it down, of course, better sound. That's going to happen. But one big thing that they did was they ended up doubling the RAM, which made games play much faster, will load up much faster. And to my knowledge, that's the only system where they really changed the core infrastructure of it, like the actual specs. Of course, you can make a system smaller, you can make it more compact, but I'm talking about an actual specification change. And to my knowledge, Sony's only done that with one system. Somebody can debunk it if they want to, I'm not sure on that. So if they did that with the PS4, I can see it happening, I just don't know if it will happen. But I think if it's a good idea, they gotta do it properly, man. Even I didn't even think of this, but one person I watched made a good point, and he said, if Sony's gonna release a PlayStation 4.5, they better do something where they say, hey, trade in your old PS4 for $200 to $250 towards the PS 4.5. If they do something like that, that would make sense, and I'd actually probably trade in one of my PS4s to do that, but if not, I don't know what they're doing. Just watch them do a Nintendo thing where they decide to not throw in a power plug. I'm gonna be mad as hell if they do that, especially since the PlayStations all use the same power plug. Let's see. What do you think of YouTubers like, name dropping here? Not this person, but this person did ask. What do you think of YouTubers like Leafy is Here and Pyrocynical? I actually have a video that I did, not on these guys, but I talked about reactions and all that stuff. And this kind of, their type of genre video, for anyone that doesn't know who these two are, it is a type of kind of commentary gaming review, where essentially they introduce themselves as normally gameplay in the background, and they take a video and they review it. So they play chunks of the video and they interject their commentary, play chunks, interject their commentary, essentially like that. Now recently there was a big controversy and big drama where, I'll kind of sum it up here for anyone that doesn't know. Leafy, he used to do live stories and all that stuff, and then a few months ago he started doing these commentary reaction gaming type videos, and they were getting, you know, a bit more intense and everything, but he did one where he ended up covering a video that a guy made, and this particular gentleman is autistic. And what happened is Leafy's fan base is really just a bunch of kids that spam kill yourself all over the place, and they attack people. Like, there's been people, like, it was bad. Like, there was one person I saw on Reddit who he was affiliated with somebody who did another video that Leafy reacted to, and this guy was saying, can I seek like any type of counsel, because my friend had his video react to by Leafy, and now people are like doxing my friend, and they're harassing him, and they're telling him to kill himself, and now they're attacking me just because I'm friends with him. So it's not a good environment at all, man. But what happened was Leafy made this video, and then this guy who made that original video made a video crying because he said that people were threatening his life. So then H3H3 ended up making a video pretty much addressing Leafy and saying that he's been bullying people and his videos have become really toxic and they're clickbaity, and nobody's really pointed out until now, and there was a whole big controversy type thing. And then Pyrocynical got kind of thrown into it as well. He tried to stay out of it, but he got kind of thrown in because he's the exact same type of genre. And even H3H3 is in there as well too. They do videos based on reviews of videos in a commentary-ish type fashion. First off, you have to realize what these two guys are, because I'm a fan of Leafy, I'm a fan of Pyrocynical. Honestly, I've liked Pyrocynical a lot more recently, and I've started following him as of like 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I think he's hilarious. But Leafy, what he does normally is, if you watch his commentaries and reviews and all that, he attacks the person in the video. Pyrocynical and H3H3, when they do their types of videos, they make fun of and poke fun of the actual video itself. And if the person is really deserving, like if the person is truly a scumbag and you can't, you know, you can't disprove that, he'll attack the person a little bit, but Leafy will, like, he'll make fun of the video, he'll make fun of the format, and he'll just go in and just rail the person or people in the video, and that's one issue I had. And like many others have said, because many others were finally vocal and open about it, and they had said, you know, at first, Leafy was doing the live stories, and they loved them. They started doing the commentaries, and they just became more and more toxic over time. And that's one problem with it as well, too. I honestly don't think he really saw much of that until he took a step back on there, and I'm going to get to that in a bit. I don't think he saw that until he really took a step back, because he's younger than me. He's 20, and a 20-year-old getting all that E-fame at once, you're not really going to know how to react and how to deal with everything. I mean, it's going to be big. And he was really sorry about it. He was really apologetic, all this other stuff. But you'll notice, like, when he did that, he was, you know, attacking a lot of smaller channels, a lot of people that couldn't really defend themselves. And as I said, he was attacking the person. Like, it could have just been a kid that made, like, I don't know, some type of cringy or bad video, and he just railed that kid. While, as I said, like, Pyrocynical, he's actually done that, where there was, like, a 6-year-old commentary kid, and he made fun of the video. And he was kind of like, this is YouTube, what is YouTube in 2016? Like, did all that stuff, but, like, he didn't, like, make fun of the kid himself or anything like that. In fact, he was saying, like, I'm shocked this kid actually knew how to make the video. Kind of in almost a complimentary type way. And I'm not saying you have to be super sugary nice and, you know, you have to do all that, but, you know, at least have some integrity with that. Then with that, though, I was talking about how Leafy, I don't feel like he really saw how exaggerated he was taking it, because even people were telling him, like his friends were telling him, like, hey dude, you'll be good, just tone it down a little bit. And after you do it so much, because it was a daily thing for him, and he's still doing almost daily, but he was making these daily videos, and because of the way he was presenting them and doing all this stuff, he just had to take it up one notch every single time, because it just had to be a little more extreme, a little more extreme, a little more extreme, and then this set of circumstances just kind of happened here. And the reason why I believe that is because if you see his videos, because he made his apology video, he made his H3H3 video, and after that he went back to the same format, but now he covers people and he covers videos where he still attacks the people, but when you see the people and you see the videos, you kind of see them more as people who really deserve to be attacked. That would be just like, you know, people doing horrible things, truly horrible people, people who are clickbaiting, gaming the system, anything like that. He's no longer really attacking like a 12-year-old who just made a shitty video. He's now attacking people who I feel like, and I feel like many other people would feel like would be deserving of this type of stuff. The final thing with it as well too is all these people say, any type of people who do these videos, they normally say, oh, well, I don't control what my fan base does. If my fan base goes over and hacks your accounts and all that stuff, that's not my doing. That's true. You don't tell them what to do. Like, for example, I don't tell my fan base, hey, go attack this YouTuber, but if I cover a YouTuber in a negative light and show a bunch of negative attention on them that they might be attacking me, I might know, if I know what my fan base has done historically, and you guys have been awesome, you guys haven't done this, but if I know that my fan base historically has attacked the YouTubers that I cover, then I know what's going to happen. Even if I don't say anything, even if I don't tell them to do that stuff. And you'll see a lot of these people also have been kind of reining that in, have been telling people, please don't attack these people. Yes, they might have made a shitty video, they might have made a cringy video that does not deserve an attack. So you're seeing a lot more of that now. But those are just my thoughts overall on them. Overall, I think, you know, with the whole Leafy drama thing, I think he made a mistake. I think what he's doing now, he's still sticking to that same format, but, you know, he's covering different types of people and all that. I think what that's going on there is fine. I do like Pyrocynical more just because I feel like he's more creative with his content. He'll do a lot more editing on there. He's going to be nicer with it as well too overall, honestly. And plus he gets bonus points. God damn. Cut out there. He gets bonus points for the British accent because it really cleans everything up too. Almost anything with a British accent is going to sound nice and prestigious. Finally, excuse me, last thing coming off the YouTube drama. This is actually a serious thing, but just a completely off-the-wall question. What are your thoughts on being prepared for a disaster or emergency, such as tornadoes, EMP solar flares, loss of a job, a big snowstorm, etc., and having things like food, water, and medical supplies put aside just in case? So what he's talking about here is like preppers, like snowstorm preppers, doomsday preppers, anything like that. And the only one out of all those I can really attest to and say that this is something that, you know, I consistently do is the money thing. Essentially, I try and keep a good amount of savings. And with that, there's kind of a good rule that I would advise you all on this as well too. Keep enough in your savings if you can, where if you suddenly stopped earning money, like you had zero, no money coming in for 6 months, could you live off your current savings for 6 months? If from like January to June you don't make a dime at all, can you live off of your existing funds? And if the answer is yes, then you're probably good to go. You're probably in decent shape. If the answer is no, you might want to work on that before it does happen. And that's more of the fact of really, like, just in case you lose a job, you're laid off, anything like that, and unemployment's not an option, you don't have any extra income trickling in, nothing like that. I'm a firm believer in that. That's something, as I said, I've done. That's something that has been taught to us as well. And I was in the College of Business, so they kind of teach you that at one point, and they say, you know, you need to learn to survive off this much. And I was already doing that prior to that because, you know, if I'm not going to spend or invest my money, I want to save my money into something. But when it comes to a snowstorm, let's see, you know, a lot of this stuff, it happens after the fact. Like, for example, I'm not saying don't do it, but like my parents, for example, one year we had a really bad snowstorm. We didn't have power for about 4 days, so what we did was, money can only get you so far, man, because, like, for example, Walmart was out of food, hotels were booked, there were other places we couldn't go to, and then we didn't stay in a hotel that long, because it's like, well, what if the power's out for a week? That's kind of expensive. So we stayed with friends, but then what if you don't have friends in the area, and all that stuff? What we did to combat that later on, my parents ended up buying a gas-powered generator. We never used it. I think we used it once to test it, and we never had to use it. Thankfully, we never had to use it because we never had an extended power outage like we did just then. But it would have been nice to have before that, but we didn't really have that in our thought process. I think if it's something that doesn't completely consume your life, I think it would definitely be good. And that's also for, you know, tornadoes. I think we've now kind of graduated from that, but I lived at least in Tornado Alley. I never had a tornado personally hit me. I had one probably a few miles away from me though. So that was kind of scary. But tornadoes, no, those are something you definitely need to look out for. You know, if you're in the Midwest and everything and you're dealing with all that stuff. EMP solar flares, anything like that. Don't know as much about those, honestly. But yeah, no, I don't have anything really against like doomsday preppers or anything like that. Some of it I think is a little bit ridiculous, like the lengths some people will go to where they will completely turn their lives around and build up huge barriers and fortresses and all that. To me, at least, that's taking it a little bit too far. I understand there's being prepared, but there's also ruining your life over it. You need to find a good balance with that, and that's really all I can say. So should you be prepared? Absolutely. Should you let it consume your life? Personally, I don't think so, and a lot of these people do say, hey, well, you know what? When the zombie apocalypse comes, you're going to be laughing at us. Well, no, you're going to want to join us. We'll be laughing at you when you were laughing at us all those times. And while as that might be true, I also, I like my apartment. I like this setup. I'm going to prepare for a few things, but I'm not going to have my living room stay full of cans. That's just it. Anyways, that's the end of the Q&A. So, we did it, man. 30,000 subscribers. Thank you all very much for that. It was great. And doing this Q&A, definitely fun. You know, I got to keep it casual and all that. Worked out pretty well. So yeah, stay tuned for more videos, all that stuff. I have some ideas for things, but I also, honestly, I've been needing to chill on making videos because, as I said, I have so many videos that I've pre-made and I just haven't gotten to yet. Yeah. I might just have to kind of bust out the backlog so I can get some of this stuff off of my internal hard drive here. But anyways, this is Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.